Well, welcome to MASKast chat. This is our second chat, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your Saturday evening, or if you're across the timeline, it's still, I think it's Sunday now. I used to be in Korea at one point, and my dad used to make it a fun joke to say, how's it looking tomorrow? Because I was already into the cross the date line, whatever it is. But looks like Jason's giving me the reins tonight because I was the one that came up with this interesting discussion for us. So let me introduce I'm Wyatt, and let me introduce my good buddy, longtime friend, fellow co-host, and the Barney to my Fred Flintstone.
I don't think so, Fred.
Oh, come on, Barney.
Barney was always, I don't know, he always seemed like twice as smart as Fred. Did you ever
Yeah.
watch the Flintstones?
Oh, I love the Flintstones.
I don't remember too many episodes, but there's one where Fred where Fred like runs into an old college buddy, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, I think Fred's been to college, 4 years at Bedrock U. Good job at the quarry. I
Right.
never made that connection. But Barney, on the other hand, he was like, his dissertation short of getting his doctorate degree.
Seemed to be, yes. Yes, he was quite the smarter uh, buddy partner of Fred.
I can
Fred, I
believe a
guess, was
lot of
always,
stuff on that show, but I don't know. I just couldn't believe that.
yeah. Well, I enjoyed that cartoon years ago when I was growing up, and I always loved the outro music as they're exiting. They always threw out the cat, and the cat, would always jump back in, or they'd order that stack of ribs on the car, and it would flip the car.
Yep.
So I had a blast with that.
It was a great show, and they were very creative with making the modern family that they were supposed to be, with the
Did you watch?
vacuuming with the elephant,
Yeah.
and the bird beak on the record player. you know that was great.
Did you watch the remake movie with the BC 52s?
No,
No.
never seen it. Never seen that. Did they make two?
I don't
Thinking
think
they made
so.
two.
They might
They
have,
made
but I
one
only
with
remember the one.
they made one with it was John Goodman, right? He was
Right.
Fred.
John Goodman and dude from
Rick Moranis
Rick
with
Moranis.
Barney. I
Yeah.
was thinking they made another one with the guy that was on, what was that sitcom? Oh, and I want to say Barney was one of the Baldwin brothers.
I'm gonna have to look that up
Yeah,
because
I'm gonna
I
have to
don't.
look at it too. He was on a sitcom that, and I can picture his face. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to like Google it or something. But I'm pretty sure there was at least two Flintstones, but I've never watched any of them.
You were right. You were right. Mark Addy. It's Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas,
There you go. There you go.
and it's starring. If I can find it again. Mark Addy, Stephen Baldwin,
There you go.
Kristen Johnston, and it says see full cast, and I'm not going to click it.
Never doubt my
Uh,
pop culture trivia knowledge.
I don't. You know more than I do, and I think I sometimes wonder if. Well, that's why you're Barney. You're smarter than me, at least in the '80s realm. But yeah, I liked the first one that came out with John Goodman. I honestly thought they really picked the people correctly. Even Rosie O'Donnell and whoever played um, Wilma, I really thought they got those people spot on for the characters to play. And I remember I'm always fascinated by cars, hence that's why we're chatting about this today. Uh, I was fascinated about the Flintstone mobile, and here it was basically a glorified golf cart, and they had to re-engineer it and re-engineer it again and again and again because it wouldn't slow down, even though it was all like it wasn't obviously not rocks and such, but it didn't have. They used the stock brakes like on the golf cart, and it wouldn't stop right when they needed it to. So they were actually doing the Flintstone foot pedal, true foot to the ground brake sometime.
Nice.
So
I've seen that the Flintstones mobile or whatever they call it. I've seen it in with the Hot Wheels stuff, and I might actually have one. I can't remember, but
really,
I like collecting the. Yeah, I always anytime the pop culture ones, hit the shelves, I try to get one. And I've
I
seen
missed
that
that
one.
one. I would have grabbed that one up too if I would have known about it.
It was maybe last year or 2 years ago, I think, when it came out. But yeah, well, why don't we, I guess before we get into the chat, just a little business.
Let's get our mask on. Come on.
Let's get our mask on. Okay. Just want to send out a congratulations to Mason from Manitoba, Canada. He was the winner of our M.A.S.K DVD prize pack giveaway. So congratulations to you, Mason, and enjoy your prize. Hopefully it will make it there. I shipped it off this week and be looking for some more giveaways, hopefully in the near future. We've kind of teased the one about the Hot Wheels size Thunderhawk that we have still in the package that we're going to give away. So maybe that will be the next, the leading prize in the in the giveaway. And I'm going to get my hands on some more comics too. So maybe we'll get some more comics in there, or maybe we'll just do a comics giveaway where we've done that before. We gave away like the whole first volume for comics there. And I think I've actually we've given away one of the second volume, which has 9 comics in. So we'll see what we can do. We've got a little bit of money thanks to our listeners and followers and their buying from our Redbubble store. So we got a little money in the M.A.S.K account to use.
Not quite the degree of Matt Tracker, but maybe on the Dusty's level.
True. Yeah. We've delivered a few pizzas and.
Yeah, hence why he's the pizza guy and Matt Tracker is in charge of, well, in our movie, Matt Tracker Oil.
Right. CEO, owner, and billionaire extraordinaire.
You took my line. I was going to say extraordinaire.
Yeah. But, I haven't been on Facebook or on the blog too much in the past week or so since we did our last podcast, but we are still planning to do our next episode review after this one, and then we've thrown up there a couple links to our fellow M.A.S.K companions over at M.A.S.K Comics in Boulder Hill. They've released some new blog posts recently, so we put those up there. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else really. I made a panorama of Matt Tracker from the Lippinzahner mystery episode, which we're going to review next, and I put that up there. And I think there's a few other ones, maybe of Gloria and Dusty, where they kind of start at their feet and pan up in the episode, and I've put those together as a panorama before. I'm going to try to get some more of those in that episode. I haven't actually watched the whole thing yet, but
I haven't got a chance to watch it yet, but I tell you, I'll give you, I guess, a foretaste or foreground of this what we're going to be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was skimming through YouTube trying to get all these screen captures, and I'm seeing we're not too far away from seeing one of the new vehicles being entered in. I think it's only about another 4 or 5 episodes away, and we start seeing. Don't quote me because I can't remember, but I think it's Bruno Shepard is who we see next in his vehicle.
Stinger. Yep.
Yeah, and then and it's not too far after that we see another one introduced, and I think it's it's a
Raven?
M.A.S.K. I'm sorry.
Is it Raven or Firefly?
I think it's Firefly because it's Julio.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
we're not too far away from it.
The Bruno one, I want to say is I think they're both in the 40s. So we probably won't get it with this quote unquote season that we're doing. But yeah, it's not far away, and I did for several articles and such. I try to skim a little bit ahead. I don't really watch the episodes because I know we're going to be reviewing it and get to it. But that one little part there where he comes out of his scorpion shell. There it is. It's episode 43, the Chinese scorpion.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't too far away. But, I'm like you. I haven't actually been watching the episodes at all, except to do this research to get all these screen grabs.
It's kind of difficult to, I want to explore, but yet I don't want to.
That's the same with me. I'd leave it be sometimes, only because I would see the vehicle, so I think, oh, maybe they're going to see the dash. So I wait a little bit, and of course they'd not. So I'd see little glimpses, and that's how I saw that Bruno and Julio were kind of coming up on the future. So it's kind of I'm very eager, but I don't want to spoil it for myself, so I've backed off. I mean, I got what I could of all the screen grabs, and once I thought I got them all, I kind of cut and run. So I think it was up to 58 before I was done.
That Vanessa music video I did, I was all the way up into the racing episodes.
Oh wow!
Getting footage for that. There's that one where she grabs. It's the Razorback vehicle that Brad Turner drives in the racing series and yanks on it with her whip. So I pretty much reviewed the whole series trying to get Vanessa whip scenes, and I still didn't get them all because I'm still, when I go back and watch some, I'm finding scenes and such. But anyway, I think that's about all I got as far as news goes. So you want to give us the lowdown on your inspiration behind this chat?
Sure.
I got a little bit of a hint. It could be just the recent events you've been doing there at your house.
Partially. It had probably about 10% influence. I'll give it that. But let's do the official and start the MASKast. I got to do that intro. I don't know where I started it. I think episode 2. But nonetheless.
Well, the first chat we didn't really do an intro, but whatever.
Well, whatever. We got to go with tradition, so to speak.
Sure.
So, like Jason said, there was some slight inspiration. Part of it was really because we were spitballing ideas what to do in between our MASKast episodes, our reviews of all the cartoons. So I think of things when I'm actually mowing the grass or doing completely different oddball things. That's when I get my inspiration. The problem is the only way I jot them down, and I am revealing how cheap I am. I refuse to pay for data, but this is my texting and also my homework tool. So what happens is while I'm getting my inspiration, I will text myself an email and say this, that, or whatever the idea is. And that's how I got this. So it was actually a combination of working on the lawn, and I was messing around with my vehicle restoration. Jason knows very well about it. It's my dad's pickup truck that he gave to me after eons. I'll leave it at that. But I'm trying to do the restoration of it. Part of me wants to modernize it slightly. I do want to mess around with the dash, but I don't know what to do with it yet. It's an old 78 Dodge truck. Nothing special about it. But there's a part of me that kind of want to mask it up, or well, pardon me, Knight Rider it up somehow. So I started thinking about how the differences there are between like the stock car vehicle dashboard and the M.A.S.K dashboard. How many times have we seen the monitor pop up, or the dual monitor pop up on Thunderhawk when he's trying to connect with the M.A.S.K computer, or just recently chatting with Brad Turner via Condor, through the monitor. So it's like, you know what? This is an oddball thing we can discuss about. We come up with comics, we come up with other discussions. Why not chit chat about the dashboard? Why not? So
I
that's
thought it
what I
was a
came
great
up with.
idea.
Yeah, it's just something to do. Unique. We have screen grabs. It took me a while. I wasn't sure I'd get all of them, and I apologize up front. The one for Jackhammer was very hard to grab. That was probably that and Manta were the hardest ones. Uh, and Jackhammer basically got ranked down at the bottom of the totem pole. What I mean is, I what you see is what I got. I couldn't grab any more, so I apologize for that, but I can only work with what I got, and the cartoon didn't have much. Um, so
That's fine.
so how
And
we're gonna? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, don't feel bad about getting ideas and sending them to yourself, because let me tell you, I get so many ideas mowing the grass. It's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just mowing the grass, and I'll think of some little funny line to put up on Facebook, or a blog post for, either eating some mask or rediscover the 80s. And I have to remind myself to go in and start a little post, or I use Google Drive and Google Docs to do all my notes and stuff. And I go in there and just, leave
Right.
the idea and come back to it later. There's a bunch of different programs out there. I use Evernote too. That's a pretty good tool, and you can get to it from pretty much any device that you have. So,
Except mine.
except yours, yeah. This is my little tool, the tablet. So
Yeah. Well, I do have a tablet if I can ever rip it from my son's hands.
I
But
took care of that. I took care of that problem in just a few days here when Jameson's birthday comes up. So they'll both have one. Leave mine alone.
I need to just break down and get one. I toy with what to get. Um, I'm not attracted to one or the other. I'm not an iPad or Apple nut. I'm Android, whatever.
It's hard to justify getting a kid something that costs hundreds of dollars, at least to me.
Right.
And
And I go back and forth about getting, I'm cheap. Obviously, I got this guy. But think about getting those Polaroid versions of Android at Big Lots or whatever's on sale.
yeah,
But I can't quite break myself going down that low, because I don't want something that's really that low quality that it's going to take forever to open up whatever it is, a file or game or app or whatever.
yeah, and we're going off a bunny trail here. We're just chatting it up anyway, but I got one for Jackson a couple Christmases ago like that, and it was half gig memory, and I think maybe 8 gigs on the hard drive, and it's crap. It really is. He can upload, and the really cool apps and games are hundreds of megs, some of them to use, and he doesn't have that much internal memory, and you can't put apps on like a little memory disk or something,
Right.
that they do have, but he gets by with it. And then the one I got for Jameson, it's actually a 1 gig memory, which I think is actually what my Nexus 7 is. And I think it's got 8 gigs or whatever, the hard drive, but I know it's going to be quicker, and
Right.
all the little games and stuff that they like to do. Hopefully it'll handle it without any problem. And it was $60. So,
Hey,
that's I originally was going to get one of the Amazon ones because it was on sale the other day, like
Right.
several days ago, like $40 or $50 off, and I think it was like around 80. And I don't know what it is about the Amazon ones. I know they're great, and you're kind of tied into whatever Amazon can do there. But I decided, what the heck, we'll get him this one that was about the same size and $20 cheaper. So
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
I appreciate it because I almost got spoiled though. Coworker had an iPad and he's sitting there drawing on it, and I mean detailed. He's actually drawing like a cartoon or some kind of anime or something, and you can zoom into like it's a zoom in circle, and you can do fine work with it, zoom it out, work on this area, and go back and forth. And I'm like, I would like to toy with this. I've been toying with the idea of doing some kind of fan art storyboards for our movie anyway. So I'm like, ooh, that might be it, but I don't want to spend that kind of money on a freaking iPad either. So I want to do my research before I go jumping
Yeah,
in on that nosedive.
I like Photoshop, and you can really, do a lot with it. And there's a lot of shortcuts to cleaning up art and stuff too, and
Oh yeah.
pictures. But it is kind of difficult working with a mouse rather than actually drawing something on there. Sure,
Right.
it's a
Well,
lot better, but
I was going to get this what they call YCOM. That's what we have in our building. Working in a broadcast center, we have YCOMs, which are just like a touch screen with a mouse stylus on the monitor. Um, and the guy was going to do the same thing until he discovered this app on his iPad. I can't remember if he said it was free or if he paid a minimal fee for the app. He says it's better than what he works on at work. So uh,
cool.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. So I guess we've veered off on a bunny trail like crazy, like usual. So let's.
It's all
I
right.
guess we can start our little chat. Kind of just gonna go with the top three. What you think is your top three dashboards out of the whole Mask series, and we're just gonna go step by step through each vehicle. We'll go just. To be honest, I'm using our blog as our outline, so I'm just gonna
Me too.
go top to bottom. We're starting with Thunderhawk and the Iroc-Z, and kind of discuss, if there's a pro or con to it, if there's a unique feature, if you had Matt Tractor's money, if you could throw it in your dream car, whether it's a Lamborghini or me, a General Lee, whatever, just throw it out there. Otherwise, let's just have some fun with this little chat. What do you say?
I'm with you. Let's do it.
Alrighty. Let's first look at our 86 Camaro Iroc-Z and Thunderhawk modification, I guess. Now, the picture you see on the top left with the actual Iroc, you can see it's been modded a little bit. If you look at the pillar, left hand,
Yeah.
you can see the guy put those pillar pod gauges on there. So that's not original stock. I think the rest of it is. I remember my aunt had one of these. Same color too, red. But
I've never been in one, but it's really cool the way they at least kept some of the same setup in the actual cartoon with the shifter in the middle of between the bucket seats.
right.
And that's Matt's, let's put it in the jet mode.
That is, I think it's more of his transforming lever than it is his. I would think it would be the throttle, just like you would on a jet, to throttle it up and down. But it
Yeah.
seems to be his just the transforming system.
Right. And one thing I did notice, I think it was even in the last episode that we reviewed, that it almost seems sometimes that his controls for up and down, and forgive me, I'm not a pilot by any means, but it almost seems like he's pulling back on the steering wheel to go up and pushing forward, you know, to
Right.
go down.
Just like a
And
just like a joystick on a airplane.
yeah, yeah. And the episode in Dutch, which we just covered, it kind of looked like that when he was going into the ocean, that he was trying to pull up, and he was trying to pull up on the steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it had nothing to do with the console or anything. And I thought that was interesting, that might be actually how he flies the car. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I've noticed that on our 2 or 3 episodes where it seems like that is his joystick, the pitch and yaw there of the plane, or jet car, whatever. But what's funny is to see. Uh, I don't know that I guess I have noticed it actually move, which is actually good because you don't. That gives you that realistic effect
Yeah.
that he's flying the car.
We'll have
It
to
is
keep our
quite.
eye out on it
I'm
for
sorry.
future. We'll have to keep our eye out on it for future episodes to see if we notice it anymore.
I did notice off and on throughout the episodes that I was trying to capture. There were minor modifications to his dash, the Thunderhawk dash.
Yeah.
Every now and then you would see. I couldn't get a good screen grab, otherwise I would have. There's one that looks a lot closer to me. It looks a lot closer to the original OEM dash that you see there on the Camaro. And most of the other ones look like what you see there now on the screen grabs that I've gotten. But you can even see there on the left hand side, the driver's side, you see the red buttons on the separate
Mm-hmm.
picture below are actually on the bottom, and then you see what looks like Knight Rider lights on the top picture of Thunderhawk.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
modified.
interesting.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was going to say it's interesting. It's interesting that obviously there's different focal points in each episode, and like the one in the top right with Dusty. I think it's Dusty. The focus is the radar or whatever they get from the
Right.
two pop-up screens there on the dash, and then the one on the bottom is Dwayne in this large video monitor, kind of like what Kit would have. I mean, not in that exact location, but
Right.
if you look above where the monitor is with Dwayne and those two like light blue buttons, they're still there in the top picture.
Mm-hmm.
And they have basically altered the interior to kind of focus your eyes on what you need to focus on instead of worrying about the other little details and such.
Right.
So I don't know. It's cool. And as I'm going through these as well, something that just keeps coming to mind is you don't think about when they go into defense mode or when they do other things that you notice the changes on the outside of the car all the time, obviously, because those are what are selling the toys, and the toys,
Right.
That's the focus. But you're not thinking of are screens popping up and different stuff moving on the inside too, which is what I thought made this an interesting topic.
Right. And that was, that, like I said, that was part of my curiosity is, like you said, you see the outside transform. What about the inside? The inside obviously goes through some form of transformation, especially later on when we see like Shark. You see their sun visor turns into the actual periscope monitor. Yeah, I like the Thunderhawk conversion. What I thought was kind of neat too, is it's short of the misconsistency where you see the monitors on the bottom, you see a radio on the top photograph. Mm-hmm. That radio is in about the same spot as the stock radio on the Iroc as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, well, I guess I think we've butchered up and chatted about Thunderhawk enough. What do you say we move on to Condor?
Yeah, let's keep it rolling, and then we can go back if we remember something.
All right. So the closest I came up with for the bike similar to Condor was this 1984 Yamaha Venture. If you do a Google search for the face or the front end of it, it kind of has that kind of slope to it on the front. I couldn't find the, I guess, the elongated kind of nose that it seems to have on Condor. But this was close enough to what I could find. And you
Yeah,
can
I always
see,
think of Condor as more of a custom bike anyway, and not really any particular model. But
right. But you can kind of see this one, the Venture was kind of the long haul or the cruiser bike where it has the big, huge dashboard. It's not the little like Harley where it just has a couple gauges and just straight handlebars. Um, you can see what looks like on Condor anyway. You can see it's what looks like a tape deck on the left hand side,
yeah, I
and
don't
a
know.
couple
Kind of
gauges.
looks like a hard drive or a disk
Could be,
drive.
could be, but here's the similarities I saw in this between the two bikes. You see the four white buttons up on the Condor. If you look over on the Yamaha, you see four. They're black, but they're four buttons right there between the gauges. So I thought that was
Mhm.
pretty close. You got what looks like fuel and temp gauges on both bikes. You can kind of see them; they're all round on Condor, but you kind of get the idea. I grabbed this one, this image actually off of the episode where he turns it into Mach 1, where the bike zooms off
Yes,
as Mach 1.
it's actually I think the very first one, the
Yeah, I
best
think
stuff.
so. So it was great, I thought, and you can see that actually even see the key ignition switch there, almost in the center of the handlebars.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know. I always wondered what the actuator or whatever was on Condor to transform it into the helicopter mode, and I don't know
I
if we
never
get
saw it.
it. Yeah, I don't know if it's a button up by his thumbs there, or if it is actually down somewhere in the middle where his little screen is for Mach 1 or whatever,
Right.
and all those other buttons for the. And this is another thing too that I thought about when I was going through these. Each picture is all right. I'm trying to remember what actually the vehicle actually does or what we've seen so far. I totally forgot that Condor did the Mach 1, thing, and he has to. I think he calls it laser guided or something. So
Yes,
he's hitting these
laser guided.
buttons, and
And you
he.
see one of the landing pods come out and basically shoots a laser beam to, I guess, keep him on track.
That's right. That's right. And so that was another cool thing about going through these was trying to remember what each one does and imagining which button that is that does that. And I think this one we actually see it's one of those the blue buttons off to the left of the screen there, or
Right.
maybe one of the white ones. But there's an actual button pressed to do that. And the antimatter ray, I don't know if that's something up. Again, is it one of those little thumb triggers up here, or is it down on the bike? Because as we'll get to with Piranha, I think a lot of his weapons and stuff is actually thumb triggers,
Right.
not actual buttons on the dash.
Right.
So,
Well, there isn't much, unfortunately, to discuss more about Condor. It's a pretty small dash for Condor.
right.
But that's all he needs. Helicopter, a couple lasers, an antimatter ray, and he's set to go. Well, Mach 1, of course.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll traipse our way down to the Kenworth and Rhino combination here. Again, I was looking out at the outside of the vehicle, trying to get as close to similarity as possible, and I came up with the W900 model. And as you can see through the dashboard of Rhino versus the Kenworth, it almost looks like it's nowhere near. Um, if you looking from the command module through to the front dash, you see the gear shifter closer to Matt's knee.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see that lever. I imagine that must be the lever to transform Rhino.
That's what I was thinking.
Defense mode. I couldn't quite get the right episode, and I couldn't find when I was skimming to find it. when, if you remember a few episodes ago, we remember Bruno pulls this 180 with Rhino, and he does this quick shifting bit.
Oh,
With I guess
Bruce.
Bruce, right? So you see the long gas pedal on the W900, which that's standard on a big rig. They are a pretty big looking gas pedal. So I did find that similar. Not much else, but that was similar.
Mm-hmm.
You see a couple gauges on next to Matt with his ultra flash helmet there, which are probably the tach and the speedometer of the truck. Um, the rest of it is all custom. Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
well, even this W900 is actually a little bit of a custom. That mirrored finish there on the passenger side, and then if you look close enough, right around the gear shifter, I think it says Kenworth or has the emblem of KW. It's a mirrored finish right below the gear shifter, so it's a custom truck as well. But
not quite the gadgetry in the sleeper cab, though. I would imagine.
no, not whatsoever. In the sleeper cab, I mean, you can go on any Google site. Even some episodes I've seen on like Discovery or TLC where they'll actually give you like a tour of some of these sleeper cabs. Some of them are truly like a miniature apartment. They're not just a bed in the back. They got a fridge. They have a little microwave, a little entertainment center in the corner, little tiny closet. I mean, these things are fitted out. So, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
but we don't got like the 8 screens and
No.
I don't know, the computer, the whole setup there in the sleeper cab is interesting. And there's several episodes you get up and close with it, and Alex will punch up some zoological reference
Data,
or whatever they're doing. Yeah, data that they're doing, and I don't know. It always bugged me though, the episodes that we see them where we're basically in the cab looking back on them, and we see that huge rocket launcher back there, and I don't know. It always seems like somebody's going to trip over it at any moment.
Oh yeah.
Like there's not enough room, and why you would want exploding, launching rockets near all your fancy computer equipment is beyond me. I would want a wall or something at least in between. But
You would think.
I don't know. That always kind of bugged me, but it's still very cool.
Unless they're taking this after like an army tank, where I have a good friend that's what he did. He was a tanker, army tank. I don't know what you call him, but he was in the tank, and the gun is right next to like the commander, and you're in I think it's a 4 or 5 man crew, all in the hull of this tank, and you're right next to everybody, and the driver's not too far away from you in the gun. So when that sucker goes off, you're wearing hearing protection, or you're losing your hearing. One of the two.
Right.
So
you definitely want your mask on when that thing launches. Get some hearing protection.
All right, I guess that lets us move on down to our shark version. And it took me a while to grab this, and I'd seen it once before. Somehow I remembered. But if you look on the bottom picture, you see the periscope screen, the sun visor. And I wanted to get a good picture of this because I thought it was really cool. Because we saw the sun visor in the last episode, but it didn't have anything on it except a blip, I think. So
I think you're right. It might have been what she used to locate racks or whatever at that one point. But yeah, in that one you see clearly a picture of Matt.
Right. This episode's actually, I think, the next, or if it's not the next, it's like 1 or 2 after that, where Matt is in a stream, and of course he's getting ready to go over a waterfall. I'm not trying to spoil the plot, but he lets Scott go, saying, "Oh, I'll just fly down." Then he calls for a Spectrum hang glider, and it malfunctions. So there's the suspense, and then you see a periscope pop right up in front of Matt, and which was kind of comical actually. And then that's where I got the screen grab. You see her down there basically waving to him. But you can see on the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's interesting. I mean, the setup, it seems to be close as far as the interior goes, in the pattern or the shape of the dash behind the steering wheel is that same kind of shape. But the amount of buttons that are on this vehicle,
Oh yeah,
it almost looks like piano keys right there under the monitor. That there's just, I don't know, at least 30 buttons between there and the few that are right beside the steering wheel that you see in the shot with Bruce. This thing it's got some functions, let me tell you, and we don't even get a chance to see them, it seems like. But
that's what I wanted to comment.
Go ahead.
No, that's what I wanted to comment about is how, like, if you go back even to Thunderhawk, it's not really that too similar to the Camaro. I mean, it's really been decked out up above and below. There might be, I think the vents are about the only thing that's kind of similar besides the radio and the where the dash basically is located, or the gear shift rather. But you see the contours. They tried to mimic the contours of the Porsche. You can see they got the gauges even in the right place, it looks like.
Yeah, and even the steering wheel, the picture with Bruce there, it seems to be about the same.
Yeah. So I was actually fascinated about this, how like the car they kept it. I liked how they kept what looks like they actually followed through. You see the screen in the middle of the dash up above with Bruce, and then right below with Gloria. The same with the buttons. The buttons seem to follow the same pattern as well. So that's what I liked about Shark, is it seemed more consistent than Thunderhawk was.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Just wish we should see more of those features, though.
I'm sorry?
I just wish we'd see more of its features. I'm trying to put them all together in my head. It's got the ink that it shoots out the back, and we've seen the bolos. We've seen the missile with the net. We've seen a couple that shoots a couple missiles, I think, out the front too, the grill.
Right. And then we saw the modification with Torpedo Bob.
Right. So there's definitely some functions on here. I don't know. I would guess the transformation is the gear shift, kind of like Matt's. I don't remember.
I guess. I don't remember ever seeing it
or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I guess on the Gator.
Yeah, let's go. And you can see how not alike this is, except for the gear shifts. This is the closest I could come up with was the old '84 Jeep CJ, the original. I call it the original Jeep, even though the Willys Jeep was actually the original. But this is the AMC version before they turned it over to the, I think it was '86. They made the actual changeover to the, I call it the smaller Jeep Wrangler. It kind of got more fame if you've ever watched MacGyver. His Jeep is the smaller Jeep. But I was looking at the similarities between Gator and the actual CJ, and you got the one big speedometer, I guess, in the middle, which is where that where the Jeep is, and then the two gear shifts. You see there, one for four-wheel drive, I imagine. The other one's the actual gear shifter, or maybe in Gator's case, it might be what transforms him and shoots the boat out.
Yeah.
After that, I got nothing. It's not very similar. You got the kind of the Knight Rider airplane type yoke steering wheel, and yeah, it's not that similar. Of course, you got the big gun shooting out the front end of it either, too. So
Right. You have to have a little bit of modification to have that huge gun there, and uh, I don't know. It seems to pitch forward to the dash, and she's got that crazy Knight Rider steering wheel that they put in there. I don't know why they
Right.
did that. That was necessary, but yeah, it is what it is, and
Oh yeah, they changed it like they need to.
right.
Although I like the Knight Rider steering wheel myself. The
Oh, of
looks of
course
it. I
you
don't know
do.
how functional I like it, but
Take a little bit to
driving,
get used to, but
yeah. But you don't see the handlebar, the panic bar out in front on the passenger side. You see what looks like a small computer readout and a set of buttons there were right in front of Matt.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's not much. Not there's not too much alike on this, except for the like I said, the speedometer and the two gear shifts. There's not much.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if they did have some a monitor maybe on the passenger side at some point, just because Gloria rode shotgun all those times, and I
I don't
seem to
remember.
remember her. Seem to remember her pushing buttons and um, making the what do you want to call it, the depth charge,
Right.
launching it and doing different things from the passenger side. So I figured there was some more to it than you know the normal what you see over on the Jeep
Right.
from '84. But I don't know. I still every time I go down the road and I see one of those 4-door new Wranglers, I'm
Right.
like, man, that's Gator.
Well,
That
that
I mean,
is
it'd just be perfect how long they are, and I can just see the front end lifting up on that thing.
well. They kind of got it was a short-lived model, but they made a two-door longer version for a while. It was kind of this concept of the old scrambler. I think that's what they called it. The old CJ had the same concept. It had like a little bit longer bed in the
Mm-hmm.
back, and that's what I saw Gator originally as. I know you and I both pictured for the movie. Our movie concept was to have the four door because of the length, but I do remember there being a two door, I guess, a longer version, which would probably be more like our what we want to do with the movie to keep it
Yeah.
as close to like the cartoon. So
All
what do you say?
right.
We move on
So
to Firecracker.
let's do it.
Well, I looked at this with really two vehicles. I looked at all three American vehicles: the Dodge Ram, Chevy CJ or CK truck, and the Ford F-150. And I tried to compare. I think on the front end of the truck, it could be either the Dodge Ram or the Ford F-150. Um, so not to duplicate it, I used the Dodge Ram since we think that the Jackhammer is closer to a Ford Bronco. So I chose the Dodge Ram um, just to see.
Mhm.
Really, that's the closest I could think of, and you can kind of see that there's, I guess, a minor similarity. You see the radio there on next to uh,
Hondo.
Hondo. I don't know why his name escaped me, but on the Dodge you can see it's actually up higher on the dash um, on the dashboard. Um,
Not too much
the gear
happening with it.
no the gear shift on the I would say on the right hand side of Hondo, not the one that's in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's the four wheel drive shifter. I don't know why Dodge ever put it all that far away, but that's what they did. Um, but in this model, I think uh, Honda was actually trying to transform the truck into its attack mode or defense mode. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's not much similar to it. That steering wheel that's on the Dodge is actually not stock. That's not OEM. That's someone threw something on there.
Well,
But
the firecracker didn't do a whole heck of a lot, and there's one episode. It might have been the Ghost Bomb where he tracks the path of the submarine that they're trying to locate in
yeah,
Firecracker, and I was thinking maybe he had some kind of like radar monitor or something in there that it could just pop out or whatever.
right.
Why they didn't show it in there, but um, he has the spare tire with the spikes that launches. He's got the freeze cannons in the back, and he's got the guns through the grill and the hypno headlights
That was his favorite thing, I think.
in the front. Yeah, he used that many times. So it kind of matches up with what it is shown to do, that it's got
Right.
maybe a few buttons here and there for him to do what he needs to do to get the job done. But it doesn't have the screens and monitors of like Shark or
No.
Thunderhawk. And the Hurricane seems to be even less impressive.
Yeah, this is another one that I couldn't get a good shot of. Obviously,
I guess it's kind of hard to mod. The farther back you go, I don't know.
I guess so. Well, you can see the kind of similarity is that radio. You see that this is actually from the episode where Matt used it to eject the spare tire.
Mm-hmm.
You see the radio is about the same as what the Bel Air shows.
Those old school settings where you
Yeah,
got to your station, you pushed in those buttons, and that was your
that was
setting
it.
to get back to that station.
And that's what I got on this old 78 out here too. But you can see kind of the gear shifter being narrow. You can kind of see it on the cartoon. It's about the same on the 57 Chevy, the Bel Air there. I can't see if those two buttons are part of. I can't tell if that's part of the original Chevy or not. I know that computer monitor on the floor isn't. Aside from that, I apologize. I couldn't get a better screen grab, but I would say it's pretty close to the original Bel Air. Just a couple extra M.A.S.K modifications for their purpose.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen it, and that's one thing too, where we've reviewed not quite half of the episodes, and well, of course, Hurricane hasn't been in, but maybe 4 or 5
Right.
that we've seen so far. So we haven't seen if there's gonna be a couple episodes where they do a little bit more with it, show a little bit more inside, and there are some other features. They haven't used that saw blade that's off the back yet in any of the cartoons, and of course the turret and the guns on top and the headlights. That's about all we got besides the spare tire. But again, it just seems the reason that Hondo is your muscle. He's your history teacher. He's not your tech guru. So
Right.
he would have something that's more straightforward when he's driving, and it's not very, very technical. Not to say that he, couldn't handle something technical, but it seems to fit him more.
Right. The one thing that did baffle me though with Hurricane was how in the heck do you sit as a passenger in that car when it's all buttoned up, when it's not in defense mode, because you got that big cannon sitting in the passenger seat.
Right.
Just saying.
Never did explain that. Well, we haven't seen. Oh, I guess we have. When they were in Paris, we have.
Yeah, they were in the passenger seat. So where did the gun disappear to?
T-Bob was in the back, and yeah, I don't know. It transforms a different way, I guess.
I guess.
On the real thing than in the actual vehicle, actual toy, whatever.
Right.
Let's go on to Venom.
Yeah.
Venom vehicles.
Well, since Switchblade is a butt of one, just like Airwolf, I couldn't really find anything that was even remotely close. So I figured a U.S. military Apache was the closest thing I could kind of conjure up for a cockpit. And you can see that there's really no likeness to it. You got two huge monitors on the Apache, and then you got the inclometer or the its elevation there, kind of right between in between there, and then you got the control sticks. You got the collective on your left hand side, and you got your cyclic, what runs the top rotor blade on your right hand side. And on if you look at Switchblade, it's more of a airplane type yoke, where or Knight Rider, whatever you want to call it.
Looks like the Spy Hunter arcade game.
Yes.
Those two huge, and you got your triggers.
Buttons. Yeah, I love that. I love that arcade game. Just for the steering wheel. I didn't care about anything else. I love the steering wheel.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that was great. It was. I love it. Hard to get that same thing on the NES, which I just picked up last week. I was like, this isn't the same. I need this.
Well, I added some more pictures because I thought it would, since it's a more elaborate cockpit. You can see Scott. I think this was on the first or second episode where he's making the radio call in Switchblade prior to taking it out for his own demo. I mean, joyride.
That was in the Death Star, yeah, the first one.
Yeah, but I wanted to point it out because you see a couple gauges there on the right hand side of the Switchblade, and then you see Mayhem's glove there. That's actually the transformer. That's why I wanted to screen grab that. That's the transformer to go from helicopter to jet mode. But I think it was actually pretty cool because remember we saw him push a couple buttons once before to engage. What was it? That magnetism ray? Was it the crusher ray?
Yes. There's been several episodes where he's had devices in there. One comes to mind is, I think it was Video Venom. Was it Video Venom? It was one of those where he had something that messed up the M.A.S.K vehicles from working, or their weapons working. And he had some kind of contraption in there. And I think there was another episode where he had something set up in that cockpit. So we know there's some room on either side of it. And you pointed out there with the one picture with Scott that there's some stuff off to the side where he sits. And even in the toy, if I remember right, the stickers kind of go back and behind him as well, where he sits in the cockpit, that there's buttons and gauges.
Now you want to make me look.
Well, go for it, man. That's what I really should have. I'd have thought about it beforehand. I would have grabbed some of my vehicles. Let's see what he. If I'd have thought about it beforehand, I would have grabbed some of mine and kind of looked at what the stickers are on the actual vehicle.
Yeah, there's. Sorry, I was away from the mic. Yeah, there are. Actually, looks more like on the pictures and the little diagrams. It looks more like like one of my mixers, DJ mixers. I don't know if you can really see it very well.
Yeah,
kind of.
There we go.
Sort of. But yeah, you can see the stickers there for that. There's not really anything for the actual front dashboard, I guess you call it, instrument panel.
Yeah.
In fact, it's not even like the cartoon there whatsoever. It's completely different.
What I like about it, well, the toy is like that too, and for the most part, I think the one in the cartoon is where that's kind of his throne. You know what I mean? He sits up in that thing. You've got the windows on every side, so you can see him in there and all of his, evil glory. And I just love the setup that he's just kind of out there in the open. He can look basically, 180 degrees across the sky, and he's got everything he needs there. So
Right.
Very interesting setup. So let's look at Piranha.
Yes, this was an actual interesting grab because this is right before the episode I got it from. He gets hit by poison darts, and he passes out at the driver's seat, and Vanessa has to hop over and try to stop the bike before they go over a cliff.
Yeah.
They end up power sliding to a stop, which was pretty cool. But the closest bike, like I said before, I had to get whatever was closest, and the Suzuki Cavalcade, uh, like I said, was the closest I could come up with for it. You can kind of see its likeness there. If you look at the picture with uh, Rax passed out while Vanessa's still fully in the sub sidecar, you see the two speedometers there, the tach and speedometer. You can see two mirrors, although on the Suzuki you see the guy's GPS mounted there on the handle. But you don't see too much instruments like gadgets or anything on the bike itself on Piranha, like you suspected. It's probably all thumb controls that do all the lasers and so forth. And you look at the other screen grab, you see the sub. Of course, I don't have a sidecar to to show, and I don't think any sidecar that I am aware of has any type of controls whatsoever inside,
Right.
except the stunt one that they used on Dukes of Hazzard, where they had Boss Hogg in the sidecar, and they separate the two as they drive down the road, and then come meet back up. But anyway, you can see on the sub though, you can see that there's, I guess, what would be like a instrument panel, perhaps a little sonar screen. I don't see any like controls, but then again, if you look, I see some red something, so maybe that's the controls, like handles or steering
Yeah,
mechanisms.
that's what I was imagining as the controls for that, and yeah, like you say, it seems a more simple setup, and I think it's the Rotex episode where he shoots down Matt, he shoots down Thunderhawk, and I've been through that. It seems like a lot of times, and he's using thumb controls on his handlebars to shoot the lasers from the actual sub.
Yes, I think that's
And
the right episode.
shoots it down, and I don't remember if there was much of a screenshot there, but I do remember like zooming in on his thumb. It's in that music video that I put together where he's crashing all the time. I did get that little section in there where he didn't crash, which was one of the other little parts of it that wasn't there. But anyway, yeah, seems a lot simpler. I know there's the lasers on the front of the sub, and I don't know if we've gotten anything. It seems like we have maybe at one point where the sub is ejected and he's still got some kind of lasers underneath, like the toy,
I think so.
that he can use. So it's interesting to think how well, does he have controls for that on the other, handlebar or something, or
Right.
how he controls the lasers on the front of the sub, the lasers underneath, and I guess it's about all he has on that bike.
That's all he needs for all the times he crashes off of it.
True.
A little insight: we're not done with all the crashes either.
Oh
A
no,
couple of the clips I saw, there's a couple more flippers.
I went deep into the series to put that music video together.
The Wreck-It Racks.
Wreck-It Rex. Yeah. All right, let's look at some Nissans here.
Yeah, they actually had two. This 86 Nissan actually came up with two different dashes. I chose the more gadget one. There's an analog dash that has a completely different steering wheel, different dash, obviously, with the needles and stuff. Then they have the digital 300ZX, and that's the one I picked, being as close as I could figure. And you can see some similarities. You see what looks like a couple dials on the cartoon there, which I guess they're trying to simulate that there's two center
Mm-hmm.
dials on the 300. I don't think they had that RPM gauge or whatever that red uh, bar graph looking thing on Manta. I don't think they had that on the 300. I might be mistaken, but and then the gear shift. You see the gear shift is still there, but
Different
there's even
shape. Yeah.
buttons. You can see kind of buttons. I don't know if that's cigarette lighters for like accessories or not, but there's something down there that they're trying to
Yeah.
similar to make similar. And even the parking brake, you can see on Manta, you can see the red handled parking brake in the same spot as the 300 at ZX. So to me, they were able to get this very similar to stock.
I agree. It's the bigger details are there, and of course they're not trying to do it, exact or anything, but really the shifter, which I believe have seen is what changes it into jet mode, just kind of like Matt's Camaro is. It's really the only thing that's different. That it's not the regular shift, but got that longer handle to it. But
Right.
yeah, Of course, you're gonna have some extra buttons and stuff, but like you said, the main details are there to make it similar to the actual car.
Right. And then we finally move on to Jackhammer, and this is where what you see is just the radio, and that's all I could grab. And I just now remembered they had a not too distant of an episode ago. They actually had a computer screen, but it's tucked away in the glove box.
Right. Yeah. That just remember that too. I can't remember.
It's not too. It's about 6 or 7 episodes ago, if I remember right.
There might have been. It might have also been. I was in a Video Venom episode recently. That one just keeps coming to my brain where Vanessa's actually in Switchblade trying to bait M.A.S.K to follow him down that road where they booby trap the bridge.
Right.
And it comes to memory that maybe there's something in Jackhammer tracking them, tracking M.A.S.K and Switchblade as they come near or whatever. So yeah, I do believe you're right. There's something that it doesn't actually pop up like the dash on Thunderhawk. It folds down, I think.
Right.
Near the glove box, like you said, but it seems kind of close with you've got that square area right behind the steering wheel and the screen grab that you have there, which is kind of similar to what's in the actual Bronco. And I don't even know what that is up above there, and the top of the dash. Is that stock, or is that something they added in the actual picture?
That's probably the air vents. If I remember right, like your regular heater vents or something is right there in the middle,
Oh, okay.
The center. What above the steering wheel, the instrument panel, those were your different lights. So if you had 4-wheel drive or parking brake,
okay.
that type of lights were there. But like you and I have kind of surmised that we think that a Bronco is what the closest body that they use for Jackhammer.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I went with the Bronco style for it.
And this is a vehicle you definitely wanted to be in the passenger seat. At least we've seen in a couple episodes when Vanessa goes back up into there. And I don't know, I'd like to imagine that maybe you could get up to the turret from either side. Maybe that's how he can get up in there on the fly instead of having to jump over in the passenger seat and get up into the turret. That maybe the driver's seat has the same capabilities.
Well, maybe there's just like a button they just he hits a button somewhere inside, and it on its own little track system, it just shoots up to
Yeah.
the turret mount and
Right.
goes. So that's the review. I show
Which,
that we
I
have
guess,
I show
yeah.
that we have 31 votes in total for our review.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what
Surprise,
three?
surprise, who won?
Yeah, you're gonna have to pull it up for the results. Every time I push a button, I vote more somehow.
Well, the most votes came for Thunderhawk, which was actually 29%. That was the leading vote getter. And then behind it, back to 13% was Shark, actually.
Hmm.
And then we had looks like a three-way tie between Jackhammer, Manta, and Rhino at 10%. And then another tie with Condor, Firecracker, Hurricane, and Switchblade at 6%. And we had one vote for Piranha. Nobody chose Gator. I guess.
I saw that. No one liked Gator. I guess there's no fishermen in the
Yeah.
crowd.
But if you think about it, except for maybe uh, Jackhammer's Dash, the other ones, of course, Rhino, Shark, Thunderhawk, those ones are all pretty technical. Had
Oh yeah.
some cool gadgets. And even Manta, Manta came in tied with Jackhammer, but the top ones seem to be the ones that people would want in their car,
Right. Right.
But I think I voted for. I know I voted for Thunderhawk, and I voted for Shark, and I think I actually went with. I should be able to see my votes. I'm not sure why.
Yours is the mask.
Oh no! Yes, mine is the M.A.S.K. Okay, so yeah, I voted for Condor too. Just because I thought it was such a tight space to put a lot of gauges and buttons and stuff, and I I went with Condor instead of another vehicle,
Right.
car, or truck. So let's see, who
Well,
did you vote for?
I went for Shark, Thunderhawk, and I can't see the third one. I think it was Rhino. Like I said,
Let's see.
you should be able to see it.
Yep, it was Rhino.
That's what I thought.
And
And I think
actually, it was me. I voted for Rhino too. It was Thunderhawk, Rhino, and Condor, the three that I voted for.
right. Right. I liked Shark's periscope visor. That's the thing that grabbed me for Shark. I like that little feature. I think it would be annoying going down the road, but in Shark for a purpose, that would be an excellent spot to be able to look up. Oh yeah, that's the periscope monitor versus like down below a sonar scope or whatever. Thunderhawk, well, he's just plain cool. But it's actually like I really like the dual monitor concept he has on the
Yeah.
passenger side, just like Kit. And Rhino, well, I mean that's just like the winning the jackpot lottery of all gadgets right back there. So
Well, yeah. If you think about Thunderhawk too, we know he can patch into the M.A.S.K computer, and he's got a satellite link, and it was like having Wi-Fi in your car before Wi-Fi was even invented.
that's right.
But it is very cool to, and I'm going to have to do a blog post someday on all of Matt's technology, the laptop, and satellite capabilities, well, even I guess even back then, a lot of the cartoon shows would have had some kind of video conferencing, I guess what you would say.
Right.
Um, I'm trying to remember if G.I. Joe had something like that in their vehicles, but there's a lot of technology in that car, and it's the state of the art one of the whole bunch. So of course you want all the gadgets, all that gadgets in your own car. So if you haven't voted and you're listening and have been listening, of course we appreciate it, but we'd love to get your feedback. Just leave a comment on the blog post or shoot us a message on Facebook. We've had the poll up there, shared that a couple times, and we'd love to hear some comments on which ones you would pick and which ones are you're in your top 3 like we voted. So, well, partner, so we're gonna go ahead and end it. Did you have anything else?
No, I was going over one last time, refreshing the screens, and it looks like we do not have any commenters on the blog. Looks like we've only had 2 viewers on our live hangout. So we want to welcome you, Philip and Vaughn, once again. But I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more people listening via the Mixcloud and Stitcher and other entities that we're a part of afterwards.
Yeah.
And YouTube. Keep forgetting that this feeds on YouTube as well.
Right. So. You can go over there and watch us instead of just listening to us if you so desire. Get a nice shot of Wyatt's collection in the background and the corner of my laundry room, but
hey, it works.
My studio, just to get away from all the banter. My studio is in my laundry room. It's gonna have to change someday. I'm gonna have to get a man cave and do it right.
I keep trying to make a man cave. I just keep getting more thrown out of places.
I definitely got the stuff to display in a man cave, and I keep getting stuff, but I need to. I need to get some space. But.
That's my problem. I keep getting stuff. I need to get rid of stuff.
Well, we will eventually get back into the episodes again, and I just wanted to say thanks for putting this together and coming up with an idea. I'm hoping we'll get some more ideas like this that we can chat about along the way. It just kind of hit us while we're mowing the grass. But it was fun. I had a really good time going through each screenshot, and appreciate you putting all that together. The next time when we do get back into the episodes, we are on the Lippenzahner mystery episode, which is number 36. And this is where M.A.S.K travels to Vienna, Austria, and tries to track down Venom, who is hired by a crooked Arab to steal the Lippenzahner stallions for a sum of $5 million. Matt and Dusty are actually on the scene for this one, and they work together to help rescue the horses. And they do get some help from a couple other members of the team, but they have to get those horses back to their rightful owners and tell Venom to shove off. So we'll see how this one measures up to our last one, which we both voted a 5. So I'm hoping we can keep on that level for a while, but I have my doubts. So appreciate you putting it together, partner. This was fun.
No problem. Anytime. Like we said, it just comes to us in different ways, different venues. But this was great. I had fun putting it all together. It gave me something to do. Not that I don't have enough to do, but no, this was a great break for me to be able to put something together like this. I'm hoping we can do some more little chats later on, and I know we're going to be chatting with is it Eric? Not too far off in the distant future.
Yeah, we're hoping to dive back into the comic books. A few of the comic books we reviewed the mini comics, and we reviewed the first volume of 4 comics from 85, 86, I think is when this 4 came out. And then, of course, the mini comics were in with the vehicles. But we're going to try to get into some of volume 2 and also cover the preview comic that I was telling y'all about in the last podcast. So that'll be fun when we can get Eric all together on that one. And he did message me the other day and said that he has all of them. So hopefully he'll be able to scan and put those up on his website like he's done in the past, so we can get a good look at them while we talk.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And have everybody else who doesn't have them in their possession get a chance to look at them and review them and give their thoughts before we do the show. But just stay tuned for that one.
Well, sounds good. And I guess we're pretty well done. So on behalf of Jason, I'm Wyatt. Thank you for listening to MASKast Chat.